giving you time to peace or whatever else it is. You get some relief from it. But the thing is to make normal peace, you know, and somebody's got to stick their neck out. You know, there's always somebody with the first Tony Curtis haircut. I mean, there's always... I was always the leader of my gang, you know. So maybe whoever the equivalent of me round the corner can be the first one to do that, you know. It's there's always somebody starts it, you know. So it's only a matter of somebody waving the flag. You soon get following.
Also, we believe in things like telepathy and all that, you know. Just thinking about it, if everybody in the world think about it, you know, something might happen, you know. Really, it's just that.
Here Lennon reacts to the suggestion that he and Yoko's avant-garde films are painfully reminiscent of the cinematic work of Andy Warhol.
I know the difference between Andy Warhol and us. Is Andy Warhol's negative and we're positive, you know. He's done great things, you know. But what I don't like about the whole art scene and some of the jazz scene and all that scene is the negative side of it, you know, the black side of it, that and Warhol is a bit like that. It's probably due to the circumstances and the people he chooses, but that's his karma, you know, it's his scene. So that's the difference, you know, between a prick and a skyscraper. That's my version, you know. I'm not quite... Yoko has probably another way of expressing it, because when I first met her and she showed me bottoms and she told me the idea for Smile, you know, I went through all that saying, now come on now, you know, I mean, once you've seen one skyscraper for 2 hours, you've seen them all, you know. And she convinced me, but I forget how she convinced me, and I believe it, you know. But I know my own idea. What I got out of it was to show that, apart from the differences that there would be between 365 artists and the Empire State, was the humour and the positive side of it, you know. For me, all that art scene, it's like in the old days I was anti-jazz, you know, and jazz to me was only trad jazz, and that meant that I couldn't get my group to play at the Cab in Liverpool because the jazz people had it and they wouldn't let us play. And that meant at the Liverpool College of Art they wouldn't let me play rock and roll records, they only allowed jazz to be played. So I had a sort of inbred hatred of jazz. I'm getting the same feeling about avant-garde and underground, you know. So let's out-underground the underground, you know. That's one reason.
So what were you... what was
you know, let all the... you know, let 200 intellectuals sit there and watch a prick for 3 days. You know, that's part of it.
The fact is, back in 1969, John Lennon was even considered outrageous to the art world, and quite regularly upset even the anything-goes avant-garde.
The Beatles' whole career was spent with trying to turn me down on stage, you know.
We're trying to, you know, we're not trying to create people into small dolls, you know, sort of nice, well-behaved, you know, little dollies, you know. I mean, all right, so everybody has this natural aggression on it. It's beautiful, you know. But let it out in a different way. Why should you kill people, you know? I mean, that's sort of like a...
I mean, I'm an aggressive guy, I always have been, and it used to be manifest in fighting at school and things like that. But there comes a time where they either get beaten up, which which happened to me, or you meet your match, or whatever it is. And then it hurts, you know. And then you've got to work it out, you know, and why... Then I don't want to be always attacked by some guy on the street, you know. So if we could just have it so as the aggression... You know, there was a good play on TV once about... There's quite a few. I'm a TV fan, you know. But, and they had it worked out, all the killers of the world had some kind of club, you know, and they could kill each other with freedom. Well, that's all right. I don't mind if you want to kill him and he agrees that you're going to fight to the death, you know. As long as you don't do it in front of me because it upset me or involve me. But if you want to, you know, we have got the machinery and the intelligence to channel it and have, you know, aggressive places to go and play in, you know. Let's give the desert, and they can all take all the tanks there, and anybody who wants to play killing can play, as long as they don't bug me with it, or people I love, you know. So when people say, well, all aggressive man is a natural aggressive animal, we're saying, okay, so what, you know. So it still doesn't have to we don't all have to be involved in other people's games, you know. That's all we're saying, and everybody sort of accepts it, you know. It's like we've got to stand up to the bully in class, you know, and gang together and stop him beating up whoever he wants. And that's all we're trying to say to people, that together you've got the power to stop it, you know. You just got to believe it. You know. Do you want to tell him the difference between
yes.
Warhol
You know, for instance,
and
I mean, I
self-portrait?
respect Andy, you know, I mean, for his works and everything, all right. But I mean, what he was, it's almost like you saying, well, if I made a film of triangle relationship or something, well, that's been done by Jean-Luc Godard, or it's that, you know. The thing is, what we are doing is so different from Andy in the sense Andy is basically camp, you know, basically very camp, and whatever he's doing, he has all these pretty boys, you know, sort of taking each other's pants off or something and laughing and giggling and all that. And the influence that created, you know, in the whole world or whatever, was sort of this sort of campness, you know. That's very nice too, I think. But, you know, we have a more sort of immediate sort of message, which is peace, you know. And all the rhythm of the whole thing is completely different, you know. He's never produced a film of 8-trick, you know, completely, you know, enlarged like that in slow motion, etc., you know, which he hasn't done. But I mean, you know, it just isn't his style, you know. He would like a story there, you know, with possibly, you know, one fag and maybe one big Negro guy and a girl who's in between that. And
see,
all
what
that,
we like to do really is go to the extreme, as far as we can see straight away. So when we come up with an idea like, Yoko came up with the idea of the smile of my face, and once I got over the initial hour, well, the skyscraper, and for instance, it's like the Mona Lisa or a it's just a portrait of my face, and the moment you accept a portrait, people accept a Van Gogh or something looking at you for 100 years without moving. Why can't they accept a film? Admittedly, at the time, the present situation, you all have to go somewhere to enjoy the Van Gogh, but you still have to go to the Tate to see most of the best old work, and you've got to sort of set yourself down and look at it. So at the moment, you've got to go to the ICA and watch that film. But the way we really conceive it is for people to have some kind of thing on the wall where the thing would be there all the time, you know, and now and then, as Yoko said, the portrait would just wink at you, but it'd still be so that's a portrait of me, and it could have been anybody, but she chose me because we were in love, and she chose me before that.
Right, because he represents something, doesn't he, in a way?
And the message I'm
is.
sending across was, she was on the other end of the camera, and I'm sending my love vibration, or whatever you call it, to her, and therefore
we were doing it like that.
We were doing it between each other, like mesmerising each other through the camera. Therefore, I'm in a way, we then share it with the audience, you know. And the fact that 3 minutes of time, it's like when you first saw those pictures of a whole flower growing, you know, they did those trick films, and that was beautiful. It's the same thing. You can watch, how often do we look at each other? We always have some reason to look away, you know, even the closest friend, you know, only your wife or your girl, do you really look at them for hours till you know inside out. But to watch somebody's face is fascinating, and if you get over the hang of this me, you know, I would have preferred to watch Yoko's face, or another woman's face, you know, rather than mine. You know, I get into it because it's like looking in the mirror, it's very nice, but, you know, as an audience, I would have preferred Yoko, you know, to look at, you know, as a woman to look at. But to look at some 3 minutes time, spaced out into 2 hours or whatever it is like taking an acid trip. You know, it's a moment of time, you know, blown up out of all proportion. And to give you, it's relative then, it shows you the relativity of everything.
It's sort of metaphysical, you know, in a sense that the timing is slowed down, the rhythm is so extremely slowed down. And we like to see the world like that. In other words, if people start to slow down their life, you know, because the society is so speeded up, I mean, naturally it becomes violent. I mean, even the most calm person would become violent. They have to.
Like if you go to New York or the States, you've got to change your whole attitude and everything. You really, you know, I always get shocked every time I land there. It's just, and it's like Life with the Lions all the time. I was saying to somebody yesterday, it's like when the English hear Life with the Lions, they sort of go, wow, you know, but in America, it's sort of accepted because they're at that kind of noise level or whatever it is all the time. You just get off the plane and it terrifies me, America, and it's all like that, I suppose, except for the backwoods. So it's quite natural for them, you know, all that kind of thing. We've got to get in the scene, you know, and we've got to get in the in club to get shown, you know. We've got to go with ICP or EMI. We've got to break through. And of course, I mean, we think sometimes